I think you're going to get a similar answer from all of us. We're anti-tax. The public's fed up with taxes. It's anti-job. The stimulus bill give us make-work jobs and trains that go 39 miles per hour. More government programs. It's redistribution of wealth. It's taken money away from people that have worked hard for it all their lives and acquired private property lives, and given it to those people, some of which are too lazy to go out and work for it over there.
The wise man said that the power to tax is the power to destroy. We have to go about a great educational process in America. I live up in Licking County in the city of Heath. After we got them to get rid of their red light cameras, which was national news, I don't say we, but the citizens of Heath got them to get rid of the red light cameras. Now all of a sudden they want to build a median, a $5 million median down 79 because they say it's going to be for safety, just like, of course, the red light cameras were for safety, right? And then I read in a paper where a councilman says, we have to do it. We get federal dollars. Well, when are people going to wake up and realize that the federal dollars are what the real problem is? And so what happens is we don't want to take on those hard issues because you end up goring somebody else's goat, and we don't want to do one other issue. Anybody besides me sick and tired of paying property taxes to your schools and allowing them to teach things to your kids that you don't even agree with?
Wilson, in my opening comments, you heard me say we need to cut taxes and cut spending. And the only way you're going to get limited government and smaller government is cut taxes. And if you look, if you chart this and go back, I don't care, 30 years, however long, you'll see that revenues of the federal government have gone like this, but their expenses have gone like this. And that's what we need to do. And we need to put it back in your pocket, my pocket, as an individual, as a business owner, and invest that money. And that would get this economy going and get people back to work. That's what we need to do. And I think that's a commitment I make to you that if I'm elected, I'm going to go in there and work with my other colleagues, conservative colleagues, and get spending down, baseline non-defense spending down to 07 levels, and cut taxes, and send the signal this economy will take off. Thank you.
In my 8 years in the state legislature, I voted against every tax hike that the Republicans tried to perpetrate upon us. Once again, it wasn't the Democrats. I've seen the enemy, and it is us. But I'm not just against taxes because I don't want to pay them. Yeah, I don't like paying them either. That's not the reason. That's not the only reason to be against taxes. Taxes destroy the economy. Okay, that is, if you want to know why we're having a jobs problem, if you want to know why our economy's going in the tank, it's because we're spending more and more and more money. And it is the opposite way to go in a free market economy. It's the socialist of seized control. We have socialist light in the Republican Party, and we have socialist heavy in the Democrat Party, and they have seized control of our economy, and they believe spending more money is the answer, and I believe we need to starve the federal government. I mean, it doesn't even just go on a diet. It needs to starve, and that is the only way we're going to get this thing under control.
Not only do I strongly believe that we have to cut taxes, just as you were articulating, but I believe we need complete tax reform. I believe in a flat tax. I mean, even if it's just me and Ron Paul standing in the House of Representatives looking at everybody else like a bunch of crazies saying, why do we have this enormous government entity called the IRS eating up all of the tax money, and then they're out there, we're hiring more tax representatives to go out and to audit people? It's unsustainable. We need to, and this is what high taxes really drives. The government is enormous. And it's time that we tell the federal government, it's time that we elect a representative like myself that will look at the federal government and say, get your hands off my church, get your hands off my guns, get your hands off my business, get your hands off my banks, get your hands off my own automotive business, and get your hands off my Constitution.
Amen.
We have to eliminate not only taxes, but we got to eliminate what the taxes are feeding. Just like we're always saying, we've got to starve the government.
We need less taxes and we need less government, and they go hand in hand. We need to look at restructuring the whole system. Right now, we've only got about 50% of our economy sustaining all government services. If you look at the fair tax, a consumption-based tax, all the drug dealers, all the illegal immigrants, everybody who uses a government service will pay into that system. So it's not just the hardworking Americans like you and I, but we need to stop the legislation that's going on in Congress right now. I mentioned before the healthcare reform legislation, $570 billion in higher taxes. They're going to do 10 years of taxes to give you 6 years of benefits. You know, that's why they're calling it, so they're saying that it's going to reduce the deficit. It's because they're going to tax you for 10 years while only giving you anything at all for that money for 6 years. It's going to create 16,000 new IRS agents. We need to repeal that legislation. We need to take back the House in 10. We need to get people who aren't talking it, they're walking it, and are going to go there and get it done.
Charles Moorhead.
First, thanks for showing up. We appreciate this debate. Everybody in Ross County really appreciates that. Kind of one point I want to make is our tax base is so small. There have been 45 million children aborted since Roe v. Wade. That's a lot of taxpayers and consumers that are gone. And I know pretty much everybody's against that. A show of hands, everybody wants to cut taxes. Okay. So pretty much everybody's in here. Three of the biggest programs that really kill us, that just eat away at our economy. Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare. I have 2 children. We're leaving a huge debt on them. It's not fair. They didn't ask for that debt. So I guess another show of hands. Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security are out of control. They're going to go bankrupt.
Yes.
Who is willing to step up and say, you know what? We have to make cuts. And those 3 programs are going to have to take a hit. As a show of hands, who would vote against that to make cuts on those 3 programs?
Yeah. Who would vote against it?
Yes, who would vote to make cuts, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare? We can't continue to pay.
We need to make changes. There's programs that we can switch to. See, that's not necessarily a yes or no, because we can change and put programs more like the 401k more into effect to where we can take Social Security and start to make a shift to where it's not government dependent and government controlled. So you see what I'm saying there?
Actually, we can switch that money around.
Yeah, there needs to be some changes, but we need to change it more to the private sector and put it to where you have control of your retirement, not the government. See, the government takes you and your Social Security and puts you in a corner and then forces you to vote the way they want because they control your money.
That's right.
So we need to change that system to where you control your money.
Why don't we get rid of the Department of Education, the National Endowment for the Arts, the Environmental Protection Agency, get rid of all of these unconstitutional departments that we have, maybe the money problem will not be
Because the NEA won't allow you to do that.
Well,
basically, that's why.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security are broke, and you need to have leadership that's willing to address that and realize that they cannot continue because they are not functioning as they should, and they're broke and they need fixed.
That's a political death threat. I mean, for you to say I want to cut Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare.
We don't care.
Oh, good. That's what I want to
Yeah,
hear.
we don't care. This isn't about us. This is about the nation. We're losing our country. It's unsustainable. I mean, we're looking at an unprecedented level of spending in these entitlement programs, like you're saying, that have been completely run into the ground. If we don't have representatives who are willing to stay and say it's not about the next election, I don't care what my popularity is. If we don't do something, then not only will our children be poor, they'll be oppressed.
That's right.
And so we've got to do something, and that means that we have a bad rep in the process. We have to save the country.
Thank you.
We really have to address this because you just look at the math alone. It's not working. We're looking at a $1.8 trillion deficit this year. When George Bush, the first George was the president, that was the budget. Not too many years before that, $1 trillion was the budget. Now we're looking at, in a few short years, at least $1 trillion for interest at these current rates. And so, what I tell people at the state level, we got this $8 billion problem next year at the state level, is if we don't make these cuts, make these hard choices, and address our pension plans, the employee pension plans here at the state level, the pie is getting smaller, and there's not going to be anything left except paying the debt, paying the interest service of the debt. And that's the answer, and that's where we're at. And if we don't do that, we're going to collapse as a country, and we're going to be a third world country.
You made a comment about